And welcome back, everyone, to Box Office Report. Today, on the 13th of April, 1 week before Easter, which is going to be really interesting for next week. Not surprisingly, Minecraft came back in at number one, only dropping just over 50%. And again, we'll see if the actuals come in. It might be a little more, it might be a little less, making $80.6 million. King of Kings debuts. I honestly completely forgot this was coming out at a little over 19 million. Pretty good opening weekend. The Amateur debuts at 15 million. Warfare makes the number 4 spot with 8.3 million, and then I keep saying the drop, but it's just drop 7.5 million for the number 5 spot. Now, if you notice the title I put, it says Minecraft is the highest grossing film of 2025 so far, and that is true because Neza 2 is a lying piece of crap. I will not hear anything to the contrary. That's not true. You can argue it all you want. I'm gonna say you're wrong, but you can argue it all you want. I don't like being that guy who just says, no, you're wrong. But in this case, if you're not gonna adhere to everyone else's standard of measuring how much your movie is making and only going to go by your standard, especially about a movie that your country made, you don't get to be part of the conversation. I'm kind of actually upset Box Office Mojo put it in the description for the movies this year anyway. Took them a while to do it, but they did it, and I kind of don't like the fact they did that. But yeah, Minecraft has become the highest grossing film of the year thus far, making 80 million this week, which, I mean, let's just look at this weekend drop real quick here. This is nuts. It made 162 the previous week on its opening weekend, making it, I want to say, actually, it's even higher on the all-time opening weekend list now. Weekend records, where's the all-time? I want to say it was originally like the 20th or 23rd or something, like 25th highest grossing film opening. Now it's currently the 21st highest grossing film opening of all time. And it only dropped 50%. Now, to put this into perspective with basically the contemporary right here, let's actually look at Super Mario Brothers, which we have right. Where are you? Super Mario Brothers. Where'd you go? I know you're here somewhere. Super Mario Brothers is like 40 some. There you go. Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario Brothers opened on $146 million. Now, let me see if I can get the domestic original release. Yep, we got the original release. Oh yeah, no, I got it right here. Okay, cool. Yeah, it opened on, when we factor the Easter weekend in, 166. It really opened on 146. However, it dropped 36.9%. And therefore it had not only a lower drop, it also had a higher second week. But we can look at these kind of as a gauge, roughly, because really, up until its 5th week, it didn't take a drop over 37%, and then it didn't take another one until the 9th week. So I have a feeling we're gonna see something in the vein of that with this. Now, why did it take a larger drop than Mario? Well, it's very simple. A, Mario's a better movie than this. B, it's an animated film. It is a true four cards, and there are generations of people who have played Mario. Minecraft might have like 1 or 2 generations to back it up. It is still a very popular game franchise, absolutely. Kids play it to this day, but then you also get the adults who now have kids who play it. But that's what, at best 16-year-old franchise. Mario goes all the way back to the 80s. This is a 40-ish year old franchise, if I'm not mistaken. There's a much bigger built-in fan base for Mario. And so you get a better film, an animated film, and a film with just a larger pedigree behind it, and that explains kind of what happened here. Now, luckily though, I say this not like it's a bad thing. I'm just pointing it out that I don't think this is going to surpass Mario. I don't see that happening. But it still currently is at $550 million so far. It is the highest grossing film of the year. And by the way, even if you want to get on my case for Neza 2, should note that even if that is correct, which I don't believe for 1 second it is, it might still be like 500, 400. It could still be the highest grossing, but the fact is they said it made almost $2 billion in our country alone. Yeah, no, it didn't. You're lying out your teeth. it still would be the highest grossing film domestically of the year so far. So I'm technically not lying with that title. But so it's still doing fantastic because ultimately I didn't love the movie. I didn't mind it. I did have problems with the movie. People gave the excuse, oh, it's a kids film. Why everyone who I love how the fact that everyone who hates it's are 30-year-olds who are critiquing it. It's a kids film. God, LOL, which was roughly speaking a comment in my out of the theater review. To which I correctly say, you're an idiot. Kids films can still be fun for adults and still be good quality films instead of mid films like this is with some good elements in it. I did not stick my head on the sand on stuff that I actually did enjoy about the film. I did enjoy Jason Momoa and Jack Black. I did enjoy the actual effects work in the film. Like the landscape alone actually looks fantastic. I did enjoy some of the action sequences. There are jokes that work, but the writing is not strong. The other characters really serve no point being there, and the story is kind of not existent for a little bit. So, look, you can acknowledge something is lackluster while still acknowledging the stuff you liked about it, and vice versa. You can acknowledge something you like while still acknowledging the stuff you didn't like in it. And kids films don't have to be run-of-the-mill mid. They don't have to be just for kids. Again, Minecraft. Yeah, a lot of kids play Minecraft, but guess what? A lot of people played Minecraft before they had kids. Again, it's a 15-plus-year-old franchise right now, which means there are people who are probably, at minimum, in their mid-20s who have played it, who would have wanted something, who might want something just a little bit better than what we had. And again, I'm not saying it's a god-awful movie. It's probably not even the worst movie of the year by a long mile. Right now, if I were to do the worst movie of the year list, would this be on the list? I'd probably include Wolfman on there. I'd definitely include Woman in the Yard. Yeah, actually, it would probably be, but only because the amount of movies so far that have come out aren't enough for me to have a very wide list. And there'd probably be some overlap with the worst and best list right now. But look, it's still a great feat right now. Just in the second week, it's all crossed over $500 million. The question a lot of people had, or not even the question, the statement people are making is it's a guaranteed $1 billion film. You need to be careful when you say that. No film is a guaranteed $1 billion film. Even Avatar 3 coming out this year, hypothetically, is not a $1 billion guaranteed film. But you can make the proper guesses when looking at a film's box office trajectory and think, yeah, no, that's a $1 billion film. Right now, this is over $500 million in just its second week. It's going to have some good legs on it, clearly, because there are no other kids' films. There's no other film for this demographic coming out in the next 2 weeks. We've got Sinners coming out this week. That's certainly not doing anything to this one, at least not taking away the demographic. That'd be going to this. And then you got The Accountant 2 the following week. No. It's not until you get the Thunderbolts that you're going to have something that basically puts a big halt on the momentum, because Marvel films are four-quadrant films, so that would hurt. But yes, right now, if I were to be a betting man with only $450 left to go, yeah, I'd say this film's probably going to be hitting $1 billion. Now, that being said, what do I think it does next week? Ooh, it depends on what the international is going to look like. My guess, and it's just my guess, on what the international is going to look like and what next week's box office will look like, probably somewhere between like 750 and 825. That's where I'm going to guess next week's box office is going to ultimately land at. But look, this is great for Warner Brothers. I know the guys, was it DeLuca or something like that? The two guys who kind of been in charge have been having the best hits Warner Brothers as of late. Like they had a couple big misses last year with Joker 2. But they definitely needed to win here. And if Sinners is as good or even half as good as the reviews have been making it out to be, that's going to be another win under their belt. We'll talk about where I think Sinners will land next week in a little bit. But yeah, moving on, The King of Kings. I honestly forgot this film was coming out. Now, I have heard from one of my viewers that they think this is going to do like Sound of Freedom box office. If I remember correctly what that made, Sound of Freedom made quite a lot on a very, very mild budget. Like, let's see here. Sound of Freedom made, this was from 2023. It made $250 million. If I remember correctly, the budget was only like 15 or 17 million dollars. It was not even 20 million. Now, and it did actually open, roughly speaking, it opened a little less than that, and it's got the family value to it. It does have the four quadrant value to it. I just don't see this being the same as Angel Studios. As Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom, if we actually look at the, let's see here, all releases, original release, domestic, we actually look at this real quick. It opened on 4th of July, first and foremost. Oh, actually, let's get the weekend here. But it did, in fact, open on the 4th of July weekend, which means, and then it actually, and so you actually had to factor in, what, July 7th? Or what is, wait, what? That's not how those numbers work. Oh, because it opened, I think July, that was like, what, Wednesday or something like that? So the actual weekend after that. Okay. All right. So that it opened to that. And then it actually increased, not 10%, not 5 or 10%, which would have been insane. It increased 38.6% after that, and then it started to drop. That's insane. The immediate problem here for King of Kings is the fact that there is actually other family programming out. It's not very good, in my opinion, but it's still other family programming in Minecraft. It's also the bigger blockbuster, if that you want to call that, bigger blockbuster-like film out right now. And I think it's just going to be more entertaining. Plus, while definitely the religious-based films have their markets and their niches, that doesn't mean they all succeed. I don't think that, because Sound of Freedom will still be having religious basis as Angel Studios does, was also an action film. Did actually have something going on behind it that was more than just the religious basis behind it as well. Unfortunately, I don't see King of Kings having those kind of legs, unfortunately. With that said, that doesn't mean this film will do badly. The film, from what I could find, hold on, let me get King of Kings back up here real quick. King of Queens. King of Kings, its budget was, if I could find it again, budget, hold on. The budget was $35 million. It was relatively 20 million was as it had a report, but despite this film was a box office disappointment. Gross. Wait, what? AI overviewer, I think you're getting confused here, because it hasn't made 46.4 million yet. In fact, this is its opening weekend. So I'm not quite certain what this thing is talking about in terms of making only 46 some odd $1 million. Are they seeing the future? Yeah, it was also a box office. What the hell are you talking about? It hasn't made that much, again, unless there's an international number I'm not familiar with. And even then, it just opened. So it's still got a run to do. It's like, I don't know what all I know is I was looking for the budget. I found the budget. It's $35 million. A $19 million opening weekend against a $35 million budget is not bad at all, actually. That's slightly over, but it's over 50% of the budget. So this actually has a shot at making its money back, unless somehow they really did gaze into the future and about the 46 million. But yeah. Also, remember, to make your money back, you do have to you can't just attract a niche audience. This goes back, unfortunately, to the religious thing I talked about, where yeah, you have the religious audiences, but they almost never bring the money back to the film that they're seeing. You do need a little bit of the regular film going audience as well. That's why Sound of Freedom, which was also an action movie on some level, was able to work. And being based off a true story probably helped as well. So King of Kings being an anime film, by the way, the animation quality, not that good. Like, I'd have less problems with this thing maybe making more money if the animation was better. Or I'd have less, I wouldn't be so against the idea of it making more money if the animation was better, which is not. Like, that was like one step above that Russian version of Pinocchio that came out a few years ago. I watched Nostalgia Critic do a review of it. Okay, The Amateur debuts at $15 million. It's unfortunately made on like $60 million. Yeah, 15 million just doesn't cut it against a $60 million film. And then you factor in it didn't have a huge budget or marketing budget. You're looking at best 90 million or 90 million total. So 30 million marketing, 60 million worldwide or domestic production. So a film that probably has to hit like 120. The film's not going to do that. It's not going to get even close to that. Because while I enjoyed the film, it is slow. It's a slow burn and it is just slow in general. And unfortunately for repeat viewings, this is not a film that's going to get those. This is not a film that's going to get a lot of repeat viewing. Now, the only thing that's going to help it would be word of mouth. That's it. Because when you have a film that's just slow, that is not a good recipe for rewatches. Even if the movie is good, which I think is a good film. It's not amazing, but it's good. There's a lot I did admire about the film or appreciate about the film, but it is slow. And I think that really is his biggest problem. I think you could have shaved off 15 minutes of this film and it would have flowed a lot better. Like at 2 hours and 3 minutes, no joke, you could have shaved off 15 minutes, 1 hour 47, and I can easily see points where you could have shaved off scenes in a movie or shaved down scenes in a movie. There are definitely moments in the film where that can work. It's just like scenes seem to just carry on too long for whatever reason. So unfortunately, this film is definitely going to be a wash, which is not good for 20th Century Studios, aka Disney. They have not been having the strongest year so far. Captain America did not make its money back. It didn't break even, but it barely lost a little. It lost just a little bit of money. But then Snow White came, and oh boy, that did not work. Luckily, though, they do have Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Avatar, Predator Badlands in November. I think they got one or two smaller things in between there as well. And of course, Lilo and Stitch. So Disney's nowhere near in trouble yet this year. Now, if Thunderbolts comes out and underperforms, and then Lilo and Stitch comes out and underperforms, which I don't think Lilo and Stitch was going to do. Lilo and Stitch, I think, is going to make bank. But, yeah, then Disney's in trouble. But we'll have to wait and see on that. Warfare debuts with $8.3 million. A24 really kind of really putting in the effort now with more and more not high-profile movies, but more general to the public movies. We got that rom-com later this year, too, with Dakota Johnson, Chris Evans, and Pedro Pascal. I really do want to see that. I like the fact that they're definitely going into different avenues of filmmaking. I actually really do like that. And yeah, this is apparently based on the real stories of Iraq veterans, military veterans. And apparently it's fantastic. It's really a good film. It's made on 20 million. Unfortunately, 8 million doesn't cut it for that. If it was like, say, 12 million it opened on, maybe, but I don't know if it's going to be able to get its costs back and get its money back. Drop, though, made our 7. By the way, I should note that really, honestly, in just the 3 alone, you have another opening weekend or have a box office weekend of over $100 million. So, again, box office starting to come back strong. Movie theaters are definitely needing this. Drop debuted with 7.5 million for a worldwide total with the extra 2.5 of $10.019 million. The film is made on a relatively low budget. I think it's like $15 million. Drop. Hold on. Drip drop. I was cleaning with a mop and around a Saturday night. Okay, yeah. Made on $10 million. The problem with the not algorithm, but the equation of if you can make half your budget back, you stand a good shot at making your money back. It's just that works better the higher grossing your film is. If you are, say, a $100 million film and have a $50 million opening weekend, when you take a 50% drop next weekend, that's still $25 million. That's still quite a bit of money. Whereas if you're made, and that's not including like your other, so it's a much bigger gap. Whereas a film made on 10 million, this film had probably about 20 million in marketing. So you need about 45 million, roughly. Very rarely does a film have like 10 million in marketing or something like that. It's very rare for that. You're usually looking at 20 as like the very bare minimum. And unfortunately, yeah, 7.5 million is not going to cut it. Even if this film made another 7.5 million next week, if it didn't drop at all, it's still not going to make its money back. And it's now, unless there's a big international pull for it, it's not going to do that, which does suck. I mentioned this in both my review and my out of theater review. The Blumhouse needed a win. They were starting to kind of hit a bit of a losing streak. They had just going back last year, they had Night Swim, which was terrible, absolutely terrible, which still managed to make a little bit of money. They had Imaginary, which was better than Night Swim and had some upsides, but wasn't the best, which still managed to make a little bit of money. You had Smile too. Well, still a good movie from what you're told. Still was a win. Great. Then you had Wolfman, which I keep saying is not a bad movie, but it's a disappointing movie. But did not do well. Then you had Woman in the Yard, which I've now come to decide was not a good film. It's amazing because the first 2/3 are good, and that last third killed it, just destroyed, like just ruined it. It really, really did. Like, it's amazing how the math works on that, where it's like you got 2/3, 60%, 66% of the film is really good, and then that remaining 33% just went nope, and just negated the majority. But yeah, that's a disappointment. And now we got this, which is actually a legitimately fun movie. It's good. It's fun. There's definitely tension. There's a mystery involved. There's some fun involved. It's just a good time. And now it's not getting the love it deserves, which really sucks. I'm not saying this film deserves to be $100 million film, which would still be awesome if it was. I'm just saying it deserved to have a better opening weekend than 7.5. Times 2 that, 15 million. That's an opening weekend this film deserved, I think. Easily a $15 million opening weekend movie, but it didn't. And I think it's because, people started to lose faith in Blumhouse, like they started to lose it with the MCU, and not in the same vein. The MCU unfortunately is in a worse spot than Blumhouse was in, but they're also getting I think they're getting their groove back. Daredevil's been nothing but a hit. Even if you don't like it, that's fine. But the majority of people really like it. Yeah, Deadpool, Wolverine, you had Agatha all along. You had a bit of a hiccup with Brave New World, but you can survive a hiccup at this point. Yeah, they were able to build some goodwill back up, and now we're going into Thunderbolts, and then Fantastic Four, and I think they got Ironheart coming out later, and Wonder Man. Well, anyway, we'll deal with those when we deal with those. But yeah, Blumhouse is not in that bad a spot because they don't make their films on anywhere near the amount that Marvel does. That's actually the beauty of Blumhouse, that they can survive scenarios like this because they make their films on such little amounts. But if you start just ranking out crap, then it's gonna start affecting the stuff that is good. So yeah. But anyway, The Chosen, Last Supper Part 2, debuted with 5.8 million. So we had three different Chosens. There's Chosen Part 2 and Chosen 1 is no longer here. But should note, Chosen Part 2 debuted with 6.9 million. I think it's very telling that the first one opened at 11 million, the second one opened at only 6.9, and the third one only opened on 5.8 million. I think it's because, again, this is also a TV show, so people can also just be watching it. But I think maybe people didn't like it as much the first time around or whatever. And again, story of Jesus is kind of a niche market. Yes, you have the Passion of the Christ, but that's more an exception to the rule than an all out they make it all, and they make the money all the time. No, they don't. Even the Ten Commandments, a lot of religious-based stories. That's actually a very good question. What is the highest-grossing religious-based film of all time? Is it The Passion of the Christ? I think it is. I mean, keep in mind, we're talking about where religion is the backbone, the main focus, and a religious figure is the main focus of the film, not a story that has religious aspects in it or whatnot. Because technically you could make an argument like the Chronicles of Narnia all have allegories to Jesus. But that's no. Yeah, I think it's Passion of the Christ, but let me know in the comments below if something else is a higher grossing religious based film or not. Working made near some odd $3 million, $71 million. It's trudging along, which I appreciate. But on a $40 million budget, that's just not enough. Maybe it'll get a second life in the international markets. Maybe it's not done yet, but Yeah, they can't all be winners. They can't all be The Beekeeper. Snow White, another 2.8 million. Hoofa, $181 million. It didn't even make its production budget back. That's not good. That that is not good. If, when you can't even make your production budget back, you know you screwed up. And again, for the life of me, I saw conflicting things about what the budget on this was. 200 and some odd $1 million, like 210 or 25, 270. I was more inclined, the more regular number I saw was like the 205, 210, which is where I basically kind of put it. But I do not see 200 and some odd $1 million in this film. It's beautiful. It's beautiful looking, don't get me wrong, but again, based on all the visual effects that we saw in it and how we saw other films like Godzilla and Kong use their visual effects, which most of that's all just CGI, on a budget of like only 135 comparatively, there's no reason on God's green earth that this film should have been $210 million. I don't know who the hell is budgeting. I don't know if it's Bob Iger who handles the budget for films or not. I have to believe he has to say in it. But someone needs to talk to the person who's doing it and make them realize, yeah, you may have the money, it doesn't mean you have to put all that money in there. They could have probably done this on the 130, let's just say 140. This film would have still lost money, but now it would have been a lot softer of a loss. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't help that the film, I liked the film. I still stand by, I did like the film. Unlike The Woman in the Yard, where my view did change, my stance of Snow White stayed the same. I liked the film, but it's got problems. Definitely has problems. A lot of problems. Speaking of which, The Woman in the Yard, $2.1 million. 20 million, 0.9, so 21 million. Great, except the film is made on, I believe, like, Woman in the Yard, hold on. It's made on, like, woman, don't you dare. Don't you ever dare. A Woman in the Yard budget. Where's the budget on this thing? I know I've found the budget before. The Woman in the Yard had 12. That was right. It was 12 million. So honestly, nowhere near as big a loss as things like something like The Wolfman was made on 25 million, which is good. But it's still not a good number overall. The international is barely there. Maybe the international will pick up. That means the film probably has to hit. If the film can hit, like, say, $40 million, I'll call it a wash. Yeah, it might be a little under, but I'll call it a wash. I don't think it's doing that, though, even with international numbers. Let's see here then. So then you got the remaining stuff, the Chosen Last Supper Part 2, 10.9 million. People maybe trying to do like a double feature or whatever. The Friend, 6.21 million. Great. I don't barely have time to see it. Death of the Unicorn didn't even make 10 million, which makes me sad. Not much to really talk about elsewise. Captain America: Brave New World's pretty done its run. Yeah, everything else is just kind of minor at this point. So, with that being said, we look to next week, which brings us a couple wide-ish releases and one real wide release. The Legend of Orochi will probably be still limited. I don't know if that's really going to be wide release or not. Ixis Deceiver, okay, sure, but I don't recall seeing that listed. I don't think it's going to be a wide release. The Wedding Banquet, no, I know nothing of that. Bleecker Street, yeah, it's probably not going to be a wide release. So you're really just looking at Sinners. Now, Sinners is projected between $30 and $40 million. But the word of mouth is so damn good on this, there's a good chance it comes in at the high end or even overperforms. So the question now becomes, let's just say it comes in at the high end. Let's say it just makes the 40 million. Minecraft would have to do 50 or less % next week to beat it. And this is assuming that Sinners doesn't overperform, which based right now, it's only got 45 reviews, but still holding 100%. Those are good, and the word of mouth is fantastic. It's not just it's good, and everyone agrees. No, this is fantastic. That's the word of mouth coming out of Sinners. Ooh, this is a tough one, because this literally could go either way. This is a coin toss. I'm going to say, though, that I think this is going to do a bit of a Mario and actually come in next week like under 50%, like around 40, maybe like 45, 43-ish percent, or 47. Either way, less than 50% drop means it comes in at the low 40s. And because for a quadrant film, it's a more family-friendly film than Sinners. And this is assuming that we're high-ending Sinners, which honestly I think it's appropriate given all the word of mouth. I will say Minecraft will just edge it out, though, next week. So I'll go Minecraft. I'll go Sinners. I'll say King of Kings. Ooh. Ooh. I guess I'll go the Amateur. And then maybe the Drop? Warfare's made more, almost 1 million more, but I don't know if it's going to really be a good second viewing movie. Whereas the Drop, I can actually see it getting at least some legs, but the problem is then the Drop's got to deal with Sinners. They do vie for a similar audience. So, I'll change my answer to Warfare. So again, I'm going to go Minecraft, Sinners, King of Kings, Amateur Warfare. But that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Put in the comments below. I'll see you guys for the next